The play is a lot about all these relationships and their dynamics, but really at its heart, it's about the power of storytelling.
So the set is built very much on the front of the stage, and so it's going to feel so much more intimate.
But without our cultural histories, without our stories, we don't have as much perspective.
Jack, he operates a small garage, or as we say in Ireland, garage.
Joe, that what would it be like to actually drink that much?
Well, it depends how much you're drinking.
Where would we?
I mean, these people are habitual drinkers too.
Not mine. No.
Hello, this is Lonnie Stark of Stark Silver Creek, and I'm here at the San Jose Rep. We're going to be speaking to some of the cast of the Weir here, which is the latest production, directed by our very own Rick Lombardo. Welcome, guys, and I think that you guys have already started on on a very Irish tradition, drinking beer. Rick, let's start with you. What is the Weir about, and why did you choose it?
I did the New England premiere about 8 years ago, and it's one of the few plays that really has stayed with me. Modern plays I don't usually like to revisit, but this play has really continued to live in me, and I find the stories in it so poetic and touching and haunting. And when I started looking at plays for this season, and I realized that Dublin is San Jose's sister city, and the Rep hadn't done an Irish play in a bit, although we've done some, but we've never done the work of Conor McPherson, who I think is one of the two most important modern Irish dramatists. And so I wanted to be able to introduce his voice here to the Rep.
The Weir starts off, it's really a story about Valerie, who's a character you play.
And the talk has already gone around that there's somebody new coming. We don't know a lot of her backstory yet.
The local real estate tycoon, if you will, has taken upon himself to show her around. And he's one of our own, although he thinks he's better than us now. So we don't have the best things to say about him. But we wonder what she's up to and what her story is.
And what's your background? You play
Jack. Yeah.
So Robert, what's your background in this? You're also in this bar. You see this beautiful woman coming in, wondering who's this newcomer. What's your story? Give us a little taste of who you are.
Well, Jack, he operates a small garage, or as we say in Ireland, garage, off on the country road. It's been sort of cut off, and the main road went into the main town. And he's kind of a lonely, bitter guy, actually. His life consists of sort of hanging out down in the garage all day and then coming in here at night with Brendan, who's the barman, and his other friends, his other few friends. And their life is sort of set in their ways, and then something comes in to shake it up. And this night is totally different than any night that's passed here in many, many years.
I mean, in the summer they talk about Brendan, because they are in one of the more picturesque parts of the Irish countryside. You get the feeling that in the summer there are some tourists that are coming in from other countries. They call them the Germans, whether they're actually German or not, it's a question in the play.
Mystery.
But there are some tourists in the summer, but in the play we're in the latter part of the winter, and there's just this tiny handful of guys, and they're really these bachelor guys.
Bachelor boys.
And so think of it, the wind is howling, it's a dark night, you're maybe 4 or 5 people, all men, who know each other a little too well, sitting in one space, and into this little world of little isolations, all these 5 islands come together and then basically start telling a story. Very unexpected things happen. The thing you never want to say out loud, the thing you never want to face.
Which is really her secret.
It's her secret.
That she brings into the bar with her.
Yeah, and that's why he's so valuable in terms of pushing us further. How do you really do that on stage honestly, so that your audience has the opportunity to follow you there? You don't hold the rug out from underneath anyone. There's no surprises. There can't be a surprise if we don't go along for the ride.
He's a car mechanic. You're
The barman.
The barman.
Yeah.
It's his pub.
It's my pub.
So you're the owner, and you've been here with all of these characters. They're regulars. How are you feeling when Valerie walks in?
Well, I think There's also some generational representations, I think, at this pub, and I think Brendan, my character, is the sort of the youngest generation, but he's also from a long traditional family. I think that people who created this, who've been part of this pub, who've run this pub for many, many years, and this used to be sort of like a real hub, a real sort of like everybody in the townland would come, and it was sort of like a party place. And Brendan is sort of stuck on that a little bit, but still sort of at the point where he has some choices, where he can maybe go to the city or, maybe find a woman. And Jack is often saying, I'm after
you to do that, yeah.
Because he didn't
to find
do it.
something, because he didn't.
So there's a little bit of like, I don't know, I guess Valerie in some ways when she comes in represents, some possibilities of what could be and what he's rejected up till now. There's sort of, I guess, sort of a different kind of life that he's clearly rejecting by staying in this pub, and whether he's happy about that is also in question.
I mean, the play is a lot about all these relationships and their dynamics, but really at its heart, it's about the power of storytelling. Because each of the characters, with the exception of Brendan, each of the characters has this sort of centerpiece moment, and we actually sort of refer to them as arias or songs or whatever, where the play, in a sense, stops, and the character tells a story in the pub. The stories become progressively more personal. It starts with just telling, a kind of a ghost or fairy story of the folklore of the region, and bit by bit they start telling stories that do involve the supernatural, but they become real experiences, things that they've shared, and it's one of the other reasons why I wanted to revisit this play, is because I think this play really celebrates the power of storytelling to transform us.
This is similar to a previous production as well as Sands.
Groundswell, yeah, which all
Groundswell.
took place, was one evening, and like Groundswell, there's a little bit of time compression. So while this play is about, I don't know, right now it's about 2 hours long, it might end up being in 1 hour and 50 minutes. It's no intermission, it's straight through. It's like going to a movie where you're going to go to the movie theater, you're sitting down for 2 hours, you're not going to get an opportunity to get up and come back to your world. You're in this pub.
The set is built very much on the front of the stage, and so it's going to feel so much more intimate than, I was just looking there in the theater today, and it's amazing,
like the audience is right there.
Yeah, so it's a really, like the sense of, being transported into a pub, I think, is even more palpable with that.
A lot of times when I talk about what theater means to me personally, I always go back to the moment when we were still kind of tribal peoples, and at night we would light a fire to protect us from the dark and whatever the scary things were that were out there, and one person would stand up and start to tell a story, and we would sit in a ring around the fire. And Connor has made a play that, there's a fire in the corner, they keep feeding the fire, eventually as the play goes on, the circle retreats over to the fire, and it's about, okay, it's night, it's windy, it's dark, our lives are a little scary, and what do? We tell stories. And the night goes by, and we scare ourselves a little bit. What do we do with it? Telling a ghost story at a campfire.
But then we don't feel alone either.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what it
Shared
felt like when we
experience.
were saying that, is the campfire experience, where you're out camping with your friends, and sure enough, you're beside a fire, and there's this innate desire to tell, horror stories or scary stories around.
Shivers, yeah.
Mix into that a whole lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
Yes, that
For you,
happens too.
for you.
That happens too.
We're having one, and we counted in the course of the play. Jack, how many do you drink? 8. Either it's 2 pints of
Two
Guinness,
pints of Guinness and 6 shots of whiskey, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're a shot and a half, too.
Yeah, there's some
Jim drinks
there are
more.
some serious
He does.
drinkers in this play.
Going, where did you find these people?
Valerie.
I found about the internet, I did a Google search.
Libations, you must.
Provider libations.
Hey, Clint,
Yes.
do you think it looks strange that I don't have a mirror, or it looks fine, like I'm the only sober one here?
Don't have to do
Okay.
it again.
Hey, I have to butcher something up, and so we're starting off on a good. Hello, this.